Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kim Barrett Show. I am your host, Kim Barrett. And on today's episode, we are joined by Adrienne Rivera. So today we are going to dive into all things breathwork in business. How is breath tied to your business? Did you know that you could use breathwork to let go of your limiting beliefs, actually realign you with your purpose, and so much more, which is what we dive into on today's episode. And of course, if we can help you get more leads, get more sales, grow your business, just head over and join our free Facebook community, Certified Ballers, for people who want to grow their business in 2022. You can hit up our Facebook group by just heading to joinmygroup.com.au. That's joinmygroup.com.au. But until then, let's jump into the show. Adrienne, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you making the time.
Yes, I'm excited to be here.
It's great to have you. Now, I always like to start the podcast off the same way every time, which is if I met you at a party and we were chatting and I said, Adrienne, what is it that you actually do? What's your go-to answer?
Yes. So I help people grow their business by embodying their business through breathwork. So really allowing themselves to be a clear vessel for the messages to come through. And breathwork has been that vehicle for myself, for my clients to get the clarity that they need to really create the things that are going to light them up the most, and then also create the most impact for their clients.
I'm curious on how did you first come across breathwork? Because I know that it seems to be becoming like more and more popular, more and more, not mainstream, but like more and more people are starting to know about it. What was kind of like your first experience and how did you come across it?
Yeah, it found me by accident. And I was at the library locally where I was living in Colorado at the time. And I just saw this flyer for this event. And I said, that looks pretty cool. And so I went and I was amazed by how much energy I felt in my body, like from head to toe, just so much tingles, so many like sensations. And it was like, I was speechless by the end of it. I'm like, wow, I could do all of this by myself with my breath. And there's so much that it reminded me of that I was so empowered that I could create that on my own without any external thing.
And what was then your next step going into then like tying that into business? Because I know that sometimes people are like, oh, like breath work, it's kind of like spiritual, like a bit more woo-woo, like that doesn't sound like it can integrate with business. Like how have you kind of brought those two things together?
Yeah. So I've been doing breath work for years and years. Ever since I found it, I was hooked. And when I first started my business, a lot of limiting beliefs came up. Can I really do this? There's going to be fear of rejection. Who am I to share my story? It's embarrassing, like all of that, like that I had to work through. And so by doing breath work, I realized that I was able to clear out a lot of those limiting beliefs, because I'm sure you probably have a lot of people here that talk about mindset, and like 90% of it is mindset, like 10% is really well implemented strategy. And so when I started like really doing the mindset work with breath work, that was huge. And that at first was my biggest intention with finding breathwork for business. And then after that, I just kind of surrendered my intentions, and business downloads just kept coming through. And when we talk about spiritual downloads or ideas, it feels like it's effortless and you're just creating space, like empty white space in your mind. And then all of a sudden it's like these random ideas come from the universe, and it's like the most amazing thing ever. So I know before I was using it for business, I felt like I was constantly in my head, like comparing myself on Instagram, like, oh, what is everyone else launching? Should I do something similar? Rather than finding out like, what is my thing and what is my unique gift that I can bring to the world? And also what I feel is most on my heart, because as entrepreneurs, we don't get paid extra for the extra work that we do, right? We have to follow our passion. We have to follow our heart. And so by tuning into our heart, creating that intimacy within ourselves, we really allow ourselves to see what's going to light us up the most and create that next level of fulfillment that we wish to create in business.
I love that. And breathwork obviously like covers a huge range of different things. I'm sure like I've done some stuff with a few guys out here in Australia which do breath work. And I know that when you say the word, sometimes it's like, well, it could be as simple as a simple breathing technique versus like a really like in-depth experience. like what's for someone that maybe hasn't really been exposed to breath work before, is there like a starting point? Should you just go like super deep into it, or like is there like, would you kind of recommend people starting at a certain point and making their way through to learn more about it?
Yeah, I would say go super deep, go for it, go all in for your first time. Because I know for me, I have a background. I studied yoga, became a yoga instructor, and the pranayama techniques that we learned, they were calming, grounding, but not life-changing, not significant, not that memorable. It's only now that I'm just now starting to fully integrate pranayama techniques into my own life to balance stress levels, to sleep better. And it's more subtle, the effects, which I feel like once you really get in tune with your body and your breath, you start to crave different styles of breath for different things. But for anyone who's curious about it, I really recommend like diving full in with circular connected breath. That is also sometimes known as like journey breath work, where it creates an altered state of consciousness in your brain, and you can have an out of body experience. You can connect spiritually. I know for me, I had never really had a spiritual experience before breath work. And I've seen angels, I've seen guides, I've seen all of this. And it actually can produce DMT naturally in the brain, which sometimes is called the God molecule. And so it's like, if we can create it naturally within us, it's like this tool that we get to tap into and see what it has to show us. So it's always powerful to go in with an intention of wanting to release something or wanting to gain clarity on, business topic or a life topic. And that can be super powerful. And knowing that sometimes you get that exact intention, and other times the breath knows what you need and you get something completely different, but that's like what you needed more. And you realize that by the end.
And so obviously you mentioned there you can use it for almost like spiritual breakthrough type work as well. What are some of the other things that you can do with breath? Because I think sometimes, as you say, people might just be like, oh, is the breathing just like to calm down like they do in yoga? Like, well, what are some of the different avenues that you've seen and used breath for? And even in your business as well, what are some of those like aspects that you used it for?
Yeah. So with circular connected breath in particular, which is the main style that I lead and that I love, and that's the first style that I fell in love with and got introduced to, a lot of those uses can be to connect deeper to yourself, get business clarity, figure out your life's purpose, let go of past trauma, a lot of inner child healing, a lot of shadow work. And then when we have other more simple forms of breath work, for example, box breath is a really great technique where we can just breathe in for 4 counts through our nose, hold for 4, exhale for 4 through our nose, and then hold for 4 and repeat that several rounds. And that's really good for calming your mind, grounding yourself, feeling not as stressed. The Navy SEALs used to use that breathing technique before they would, have to be on and have game time. So yeah, breathwork has been around for so many years. There's so much that you can do with it. I think the more challenging question would be, what can't you do with breathwork? Because you can also use it with Tantra and connecting deeply with your partner. I like to say that the breath is like a metaphor. So the inhales are like, what are you taking into your life? What are you creating consciously with your efforts and with your business and with what you're launching? Whereas the exhales is what's been in your way? What is the fog in your brain that you need to let go of and release? Recently, I had a massive breakthrough in my relationship. And the analogy that came through was like, there's alphabet soup in my brain and we need to drain it, like create space to receive the new. And I love that because sometimes we do need to release in order to create space to receive. And other times we're ready, we're like empty, we're ready, like what's next? What's next, universe? What am I here to really create? And so what I found is that using different styles of breathwork, especially circular connected breathwork with my business coaching clients, has been huge because the number one thing that I hear is I feel disconnected from my vision. I feel disconnected from my business, and I'm confused on my messaging. And all of those can be solved in one breathwork session because you reconnect to yourself first and you reconnect to, oh yeah, this is why I became an entrepreneur. This is why I took that scary leap of faith that wasn't as comfortable as the 9 to 5 that I was doing before. So it's really profound, the things that come through. And it also makes my job a lot easier because I just empower them to unlock a lot of the gifts, and then we integrate it and whip it up into a business plan, and they execute it, and it's awesome. And you know that it's created from the heart and the soul rather than the head and looking and seeing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was going to ask you, what have been some of the cool shifts that you've seen with your clients? Obviously, helping them do that, to integrate, to realign with what they first started their business for. What have been some of the cool shifts after a few sessions with you that you've seen clients experience?
Yeah, I've seen so many. Goodness, I don't even know which ones to share. One of my clients, Lauren, she is amazing, and she's had multiple incredible experiences with breathwork. What's interesting is that she really identifies as spiritual in nature, and that she's done a lot of like consciousness work, and she was raised Jewish. And in one of the sessions, she said that Jesus came to her, which is pretty crazy. She's like, I was taught that Jesus doesn't exist. This is wild. Like, why is he coming to me? And apparently Jesus had a message for her and was like, oh yeah, like you don't need to have fear. Fear is simple, and it just stands for feel everything and release. And how lucky are you that you get to also be a coach and support people and change people's lives? Like, I couldn't use my voice. I'm giving you the power now to use your voice in your business and to share everything that is on your heart, because I know that you're fully connected to your heart, and like you are that messenger right now. You have full permission. And like in that moment, she felt this like huge energy in her throat, and then just like started crying and releasing. And it was really beautiful. And afterwards, she was like, that's crazy. Like, what? I never believed in Jesus up until now. I've personally never seen Jesus in breathwork. I'm not particularly religious, although also very spiritual, but have seen a lot of really incredible things from other realms, which just puts you into perspective with how magical life is and how tiny our thoughts are, and how tiny, like it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And when we can open ourselves up to what is the energy that's bigger than us, it just feels like you have this edge that other entrepreneurs don't have. Like you can go through all the strategy. I know for me, I've invested over $100,000 in business coaches at this point, and a lot of that strategy is amazing. And I've also seen people in those programs that do not get the results that I do. And it's because they're not embodying it. There's a different energy behind it. People don't feel the magnetism because they're not speaking from their heart. They're not embodying their message. It's just words coming out, right? And so really creating movements with their words is what they can do. And that client, Lauren, she has gone live on Facebook Live every single week after breathwork, because that's when her energy is like, oh, wow, like I'm totally in alignment with my message. And through those live videos this last month, she created her first group coaching program, which she hadn't done before, and got 42K in sales with her first group program launch, which is epic.
That's awesome.
We're proud of her. Yeah. So there's so much that can be created when you let go of fear and you open yourself up to everything that's bigger than you.
I love that. And now I do want to touch a little bit on, because obviously you've got this whole side of your time with your business coaching, but then obviously as well, you really help people and help them create and craft strategies. What have you find to, rather than what's been working, like what things have you seen kind of not work in 2021 that maybe in the past have? Because I know that sometimes people really try and hold on to older strategies just because they hear someone maybe tried it once and it worked. What are some things that you've seen really just that you noticed in the market, like not work in 2021? And what are you kind of looking at in 2022?
Yes, I love this question. So in terms of business, the biggest thing that I see that's not working anymore is scripts, because it's totally inauthentic. Everyone knows almost every script out there. So instead of thinking about what you can say from a script, whether that be via messenger, in person, on a phone call, on a sales call, we get to shift that into listening more. So rather than, can I say the right words? It's more of, how deeply can I listen and actually say less and create more space for a breakthrough? Because when you create time and space in a safe container where your ideal client feels held and heard and nurtured, they're going to be like, wow, like I've never felt so understood. You're my person. I'm going to hire you. Because we live in a world now where, I mean, I work with mainly coaches. The coaching industry is super saturated. Everyone is a coach, right? So how do you stand out? You have to be authentic and you have to actually slow down. So a lot of the lead hunting and like going out there and like looking for leads, like yes, that can work. And what can be even more powerful is slowing down and thinking about not how many conversations can I have, but how intentional can I be with these conversations? Like, can these people think of me? Can I be so in depth with them that they remember me and they're even talking to their husband about me, at the dinner table because I said something that really landed with them and resonated on a deep level. And because of that, you don't have to chase clients. They come to you. You're already on their brain. So I do feel like the shifts that we're seeing right now are deeply energetic, which is why I think that breath work is so important for this kind of work, because how can you find that depth with your potential clients if you're not finding that depth with yourself? Yeah. So it's really, really key. Yeah. And I would say that the things that I feel like will work most for 2022 for entrepreneurs is deep connection, like really sharing the story of who you are and what you went through. Because when you do so, people resonate and you create this frequency of empathy and you feel like a real person. So a lot of the times people see, oh, you've created all these results. Okay, great. But they don't know who you are. And so it doesn't really work. There's still a disconnect. Everyone's creating massive results. You didn't do anything new. You didn't set a world record. Like, you're not that special. Like, yes, you have results, but what is unique to you? And so when you can lean into vulnerability and authenticity, you can speed up a lot and really create quantum leaps in your business because you are manifesting and attracting people to come to you through your energy, through your stories. And if you think about it, storytelling has been around for centuries. I mean, the cavemen sat around a fire and told stories. It's how our brain works. So if we can really be authentic, deepen our connection with ourselves, slow down to create a deeper connection with our ideal clients, and really lean into storytelling as number 4, those are the top tips that I would give for anyone who's looking to stand out in 2022.
I think that's super important. And then obviously for people that if they're hearing that and they're thinking maybe it's a little bit hard and daunting to do that, I'm assuming breath work is the answer to get over that, right? So that they can actually get out there and do it.
Yeah, I lead breathwork every Sunday. So if you go to breathofgold.com/Sunday-breathwork, you can try our next Sunday breathwork class for free. And yeah, you have nothing to lose, only amazing things to gain. And yeah, the only thing you have to lose is past traumas and things that no longer serve you. So yeah, it's incredible. One of my clients who I had a one-on-one session with, she said, it feels like 9 years of therapy in one session. Like, I cannot believe how much I let go of. And we hold energies, things in motion, emotions in motion in our body. And so when we can release that through a modality that connects our mind to our body, you actually feel a lot of physical shifts in the body. It's really profound. It's like the deepest form of healing. And it's the fastest too. So the deepest and the fastest. And it's amazing.
I love it. And Adrienne, as we get towards the end of our time here together, I always like to ask the same question at the end of every podcast, which is, what's a question that I haven't asked you that I should have?
I love this question. The question is, why do you think that entrepreneurs need connection now more than ever? Because if you are to create abundance, what is even the point if you're not fulfilled and you're not like sharing it in a way that really makes you feel deep love and connection? So for me, I always love to share that when you can be so connected to yourself, be so connected to then your partner, your relationship, and create a deeper sense of intimacy and fulfillment, and then also create abundance, that is the truest form of abundance. So a lot of people ask me, what is your definition of abundance? Well, it's not just finances, because I know a lot of people that come to me and they're wanting actually more support with the breath work because they have a lot of money. but they're not as fulfilled in their relationship. There's not as much juiciness and stimulation, and they're finding that they're kind of stuck in their head around business, and they're thinking about business all the time, and they become their business. So how amazing would it be if we fill up our cup, discover who we are, do our own healing as entrepreneurs, so then we can really stand as leaders and create the movement that we started this business for in the first place. So it all starts with connection, because at the end of the day, you're going to die on your deathbed and you're not going to really care or even know the number of how much money you made in your life. And so there's not that much of a difference. Like when I look about last year and I look about this year, I pretty much tripled my income, which has been awesome, but there's really not that much that's been different. Yeah, I traveled internationally 4 times this year, which is pretty cool. But other than that, like my lifestyle is pretty much the same. So it really isn't the dollar amount that makes the biggest difference, which I hate to say as a business coach, but it's true. It's not about the money. And if you ever chase money for too long, you're going to get disconnected and you're going to find yourself spinning and wondering like, well, what's the point? And I never want anyone to do that, because I feel like all entrepreneurs start with a mission and a vision, and it's easy to veer off path. Like you're hiking up to a mountain and you see the $1 million at the top and you know where you're headed and you know the mission and the vision. But sometimes you kind of like go off the trail and you're like, oh, wait, where am I headed again? Am I headed to the money or the vision? And so I like to really leave people with it's both and, not either or. So it's how can I have an amazing relationship, an amazing life, an amazingly connected relationship with myself first, and then also make millions of dollars and have financial abundance.
Absolutely love that. That's perfect. And now, obviously, you mentioned the Sunday breath work, but if anyone's been listening and they're like, I really wanted to find out more about this, is there any other place that they should go to connect with you online?
Yeah, other than breathofgold.com, I also have my business coaching website, which is adriennerivera.com, which is ADRIENNERIVERA.com. And then you can also send me a personal message if anything that I shared resonated with you, or if you have any questions, on Instagram at Adrienne Rivera Coaching, and would love to connect with you and support you in any way that I can. I have a lot of different free resources that are both business related and breathwork related. So whether you know that your next level is more of a personal breakthrough thing or a strategy thing, I've got you covered either way. So would love to connect and make 2022 your best year yet.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And guys, if you've been listening to this and maybe you know someone that would benefit from realigning with their purpose or has some limiting beliefs that they need to let go of to really make 2022 their best year ever, please do share this episode with them and get some of the goodness that Adrienne shared with us here today into their ears and eyes so they can check out the podcast and have a listen. Adrienne, again, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you making the time.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.